Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the junior senator from Connecticut, who is leading the fight against Trump's authoritarian power grab in the Senate and understands the only thing with the power to stop would-be despots from converting a democracy to an autocracy is mass mobilization by the people. Welcome, Senator Chris Murphy.
Washington, D.C. You all know where you are, right? You are in the people's capital. I want to bring you greetings from Connecticut, the state that invented the submarine, the helicopter, the hamburger, the wiffle ball, and Pez. On our license plates, though, there's a very simple statement. It says, Connecticut, the Constitution state. We were the first state to adopt our own constitution. In my state, we couldn't wait to be self-governed. We couldn't wait to throw off the yoke of control and censorship from us. Before any other state, before our founding fathers, we wrote down in Connecticut the simple words, no kings. And I'm here today to share with you some unsurprising news. We are not on the verge of an authoritarian takeover. We are in the middle of an authoritarian takeover. But Trump has not won. Our democracy is in peril, but it can be saved. But no one's riding to our rescue, and I just want to be clear with you about that today. No one's riding to our rescue. There aren't establishment responsible Republicans that are riding to our rescue. The mainstream media isn't riding to our rescue. There's no oligarchs riding to our rescue. It is up to us to save us. Now, recently, when I gave this warning that we are in the middle of that totalitarian takeover, one of my colleagues said, well, be careful. You don't want to scare people, but you guys can handle the truth, right? You guys deserve the truth, right? The truth is that Donald Trump is the most corrupt president in the history of the United States of America. The truth is that he is enacting a detailed step-by-step plan to try to destroy all of the things that protect our democracy, free speech, fair elections, an independent press, the right to peacefully protest. But the truth is also this: he has not won yet. The people still rule in this country. And today, all across America, in numbers that may eclipse any day of protest in our nation's history, Americans are saying loudly and proudly that we are a free people. We are not a people that can be ruled. Our government is not for sale.
No king! No king! No king!
Now, I want to be honest with you about what's going on, and you know it. As we stand here today, the government is shut down, and shutdowns are painful. They hurt people. And frankly, that's why there was not a single government shutdown when Joe Biden was president and Democrats were in charge of Congress. Because we acted like adults. We negotiated with Republicans. We found common ground. We kept the government open. But today, Trump is telling Republicans that they shouldn't even show up in Washington, D.C. The House Republicans have been on an unplanned vacation from D.C. for 5 weeks. And there's a couple reasons for that. First, they're trying to cover up for rich billionaire pedophiles. But second, because Trump does think that he's a king, and he thinks that he can act more corruptly when the government is shut down. But he cannot. He doesn't have new powers, extra powers in a shutdown. The President of the United States during a shutdown, or even when the government is open, does not have the power to send masked men into our cities and pull off the streets our peaceful neighbors and throw them into the back of vans and into prisons. He never has that power. Whether it's a shutdown or not, the President of the United States does not have the power to use the FCC and the Department of Justice to censor our speech, to tell us that we cannot speak truth to power when we are protecting our democracy. He never has that power. And let me just say that I'm very proud of my Democratic colleagues who have drawn a line in the sand. And let me just speak for myself for a moment about this shutdown. I will not vote for a budget that throws millions of people off their health care just to pay for a tax cut for billionaires and corporations. And I will not vote for a budget that doesn't put some serious checks on President Trump's destruction of our democracy. In fact, no Democrat has a moral obligation to vote for a budget that just pays the bills for Donald Trump's political witch hunts. So this is a moment for the people who work with me in this Capitol to draw a moral line in the sand. And this is a moment for all of you to stand up and speak up. Listen, President Trump thinks that he can bully us into silence. He thinks that he can intimidate us into sitting this fight out. But judging by the number of people here today, judging by the number of people standing up all across this country, he thinks he can silence us, he thinks he can bully us, but he cannot and he will not. And the last thing I want to say to you is this. It's a simple thing. I get it that when you wake up in the morning, like me, you are filled with anxiousness, with anger about what is happening in this country. But I also want you to feel something else. Because this experiment, 250 years in, this bold, revolutionary experiment of self-governance in a nation that is a melting pot, where we are stronger because our differences from each other, right? That is a miracle that it has lasted for this long. And every single one of us needs to understand that when we wake up every day, we have an obligation, a duty, a responsibility to fight hard to protect that bold experiment. So I wake up every day filled with that same anger and anxiety. But I feel lucky that I am on earth at a moment where I can stand up on my 2 feet and have something to say about maybe the most defining fight of our lifetime to protect American democracy from ruin. I feel anger and anxiety, but I frankly feel joy that I have something to say and that I can tell my kids and my grandkids that when the moment came, I stood up to protect and save American democracy from ruin. And so you got a lot of awesome speakers here today. I heard a rumor that a guy named Bernie Sanders is in the house. I understand the role that I play. I'm just the opening act for Bernie, all right? But listen, I'm super proud of being here with you. I'm optimistic. I'm bullish about our ability to win this fight, and it's because 400 years ago, in the small but mighty state of Connecticut, we wrote down on a piece of paper a really simple idea. In America, the people rule. In America, there are no kings. Thanks, Washington, D.C. Appreciate it. Go out there and fight for our country.
And now, let's give a warm No Kings welcome to Mehdi Hasan, founder and CEO and editor-in-chief of the new media company Zatan.